Forward looking. Laying it off. Patrick. Harriel sets it in. Off of Gressel. Made it to Elliott. Julian Carlson. A spectacular finish. Philadelphia. Hello and welcome to the Free Kick Podcast. My name is Todd. And I guess I got to say right off the bat, my apologies, because I said last episode that we would get back to our regular scheduling with an episode on Sunday evening. But I totally forgot when I said that it was Easter on Sunday for all who celebrated. And so I had left you guys hanging, left you guys in the dark, and that is on me. So, yes, people who are watching live, you guys know it is Monday evening. People that are listening back on the podcast feed, you guys probably figured that, yep, you did not give me a Monday episode since I'm listening to this episode on a Tuesday. So I do have to say right off out of the gate, my apologies. And this week, hopefully, I don't think there's any other holidays coming up for this Sunday, so we should get back to regular scheduling. But joining me, and it's crazy to think about that, the last time we actually saw each other was 2 weeks ago, late at night, coming back from New York City. He is José Nuñez. José, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. What a weekend of soccer. Watched Daniel Gastag almost score like 6 times, and then the LA Galaxy are as shitty as I ever imagined they could be after winning the championship, and the Philadelphia Union go and beat big money Atlanta. Who would have ever thought?
Yeah, exactly. And I think a lot of people, you obviously, Jose, or maybe the people listening, weren't at the game this weekend, covering, 7, 8 games for MLS this weekend. A lot of games for you. Family in town for Easter. So, yes. Family comes first. And watching 7 screens at a time, yeah, not fun. But, hey, look, you got it done. And MLS decided, hey, you know what, Jose? The Union won by 3 goals. They beat Atlanta United. That's your story to focus on. And the conversation with a lot of folks this past weekend in the press box was, well, if the Union come out and beat Atlanta, then Jay Sugarman can justify saying, hey, look, Atlanta spent essentially over $50 million the past 6 months in Alexei Marinchuk, Miguel Almiron, and Latte Lot, and the Union beat them comfortably. And I think that probably is a fair point, right? That we've seen it before, that money doesn't guarantee you success, whether that be in MLS or in the world, right? I mean, look at that Leicester squad years ago that won the Premier League, and I know there's so many other examples, and I forget the German team that's in the German equivalent of the FA Cup. They're not a Bundesliga team. I believe they're in the second division or third division. I'll have to look it up. But a short or long-winded answer to say that, look, money doesn't always guarantee success. And Jose, you and I were on the show 2-3 weeks ago talking about it's great business at the Union sell Daniel Gazdag. You get $4 million. And we've heard the fans complain that the Union don't spend enough for years. And spending $3.4 million or whatever the fee was for Bruno Damiani, it's a good starting point, but it's still not good for some people in this fan base. But here's Atlanta United showing you that, hey, look, spending money doesn't guarantee success. And I would take it a point further and say, look at 2022, where the Union reach MLS Cup. They break all these records and everything, where you have LAFC spending a ton of money. Both teams get to the final, and yes, I'm sure people in the comments are going to tell me right now, well, it was the player that LAFC paid all this money to bring into the club in Gareth Bale, and I think they actually got him on a free, and they paid him a TAM deal. But regardless, it's a big name player coming off the bench and obviously tying the game up for LAFC. But the Union have proven time and time again that you don't have to spend that type of money to reach finals. Or look at the Columbus team that you and I like. Those teams have been constructed of mostly Columbus 2 guys or college guys. So there's just multiple different ways, and money doesn't guarantee you success. And the Union proved that Saturday night against Atlanta United.
They sure did. And, you and I have been sort of categorized as bootlickers, as, agents of the club, etc. And that's all fine. We take any criticism in stride. And frankly, the people that criticize us more often than not are some of the kindest people possible too. But if you even backtrack to our trip together to Queens and say the Union go on to either beat or draw against New York City FC at New York City FC, and they go on and get the result that they just got against Atlanta. Is anybody even thinking about Gastag anymore? I don't even think people are thinking about Gastag today, actually, to be completely honest with you. So it's really fascinating to see how winning is the biggest cure, the most efficient cure, because it seems like, that has sort of helped. Is this squad perfect? Absolutely not. Could they be spending more? I'm sure, if that's what people want. But the reality is that, like, I don't know, Todd, you and I have talked behind the scenes, right? Like, I'm never cheering for someone's downfall, but how interesting would it be to see Emmanuel Latela finish, like, I don't know, 20th in the scoring race, right? Spending 22 million. I genuinely think that's a vastly overspent, like a vast overspend on him. But the reality is that, like, I I would love a world where, and I guess the way to show it would be the Union find themselves in another MLS Cup final. Imagine with this strategy, right? Like flipping the roster the way they did, and if that's the ultimate answer to it all. But you can't, you can't, you can't but remain amazed at, like, what they've done here with this roster, especially this year. No one outside of a few people, I'm sure, had expected the Union to do as well as they have this year so far.
Yeah, exactly. And look, it's a long season. This is what, week 9, and I was reminded on Scarves and Spikes, Atlanta United podcast that I was on last week, that yeah, we're 25% of the way done the MLS season, which is crazy to think about when you put it that way. But there's still the summer months to be played, and this May schedule coming up for the Union, we know is going to be very, very hectic with a ton of games. We do know that the Union will be facing Indy 11 for their US Open Cup match on May 6th, or yeah, 6th, because they play on a, no, is it, no, 7th, I think, right? The 6th is the Tuesday, the 7th is a Wednesday, I believe it is, and the Union play that game on a Wednesday. And now that I say that, I feel so bad because I never did an article about who the Union are playing in the US Open Cup. But you guys already know that now. I mean, we've all seen it, I'm sure, already. But yeah, I think that US Open Cup game is going to be so funny too, where look, fans finally get what they wanted, a US Open Cup game at Subaru Park. And all the fans that aren't a fan of Leagues Cup and that were protesting Leagues Cup last year, let's see all those people now. Will they show up for a US Open Cup game against Indy 11? I would say that the stadium is probably going to be filled by, I don't know, 3,000 or less, I would say. And I feel like 3,000 is a little bit too high, but maybe Union fans surprise me and more fans show up than not. But yeah, Union, US Open Cup, Indy 11. I expect a whole bunch of probably Union 2 guys and some fringe Union first team players to feature in that game, just because it's such a hectic schedule coming up for the Union. Go ahead, Jose.
Is that game included in season ticket packages?
Yeah, it's free.
Well, part of it.
Yeah, free. I mean, you still paid for it, right? But
Yeah,
it's
right,
included
right.
with free games.
So a Wednesday game against a USL team, first time back after being how many years without US Open Cup for the Union senior team? Like 3 years, 4 years?
Yeah, the last time they played was Minnesota 2 years ago, I think it was, and they lost. They won
Okay.
the penalties. Kai Wagner scored, I think, twice
Oh,
in that.
that's right. He had that was it, that volley or something? I can't remember what
Yeah,
he did. He
yeah,
did
yeah.
something incredible. Yeah. Yeah, Brendan Craig started. I remember that. Yeah, I think you're right. I think 3,000 or fewer probably show up, and that is the sad reality of it all. Oh, I think I'll be there, but God, I hope that stadium, for all the complaining about it, that people will actually show up. But who knows?
Mike says I can. Mike Barrera says I can assure you fans won't show up for the Open Cup. Yeah, I agree with you, Mike. I mean, people vocal about how much they love the US Open Cup on social media, and then when it's time to show up for the tournament, um, they definitely won't show up. Hoagie, who I see's changed her name to Domesticated Hoagie, says, "Bet if I got a fang, jersey, they would sell him too, because she had mentioned in the comments that she got a Union Gazdag jersey the week before he was sold or traded to Columbus Crew. And yeah, that's tough. And by the way, I did hear you, Hoagie, after the game yell, "Hey, it's Hoagie. My apologies for not coming over and saying hi to you and your 10 crew. Having a good conversation about uh the upcoming couple games for the Union." But yes, I did hear you say it's Hoagie, so I appreciate the shout out.
I was just at the Philadelphia outlets, by the way, today. I went to pick up my ring after it got whatever refinished. So I stepped into Adidas super quick, and they are selling the Simpsons Cloud jersey for, I think, like after tax, like $28 or something like that.
Yeah,
If you need one, and then they already have the. I think they already. I don't know. It said everything in the store was 30% off, but I don't know if that included the brand new jersey that came out this year. But all that to say, domesticated hoagie. If you need a shirt, a jersey, pop into one of those Adidas outlets and get a blank kit. And I think, can you just go to the stadium with a blank kit and get letters on it?
yeah, customized. Yeah, exactly. I think it's $30.
Oh, there you go. That $60 for the Simpsons kit. You get whatever name you want. Domesticated hoagie, 25.
There you go.
Would they do that, or does this have to be a player?
And now they can do whatever. I'm pretty sure.
Domesticated hoagie on the back of it.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Can you see this, Jose?
I sure
The
can.
Okay, cool. It's probably a little bit far away for people watching on the stream, so you might have to squint a little bit. I'll try to zoom in here the best I can. But yeah, it's the Union's potential May schedule. As you can see it there on the screen. Yeah, I mean, very busy time for the Union coming up. Saturday, May 3rd at CF Montreal. Then we know the US Open Cup game. Obviously, I have to update this the schedule. The play Indy 11 on Wednesday the 7th. Then they welcome Daniel Gazdag at home on May 10th, which is a Saturday. Then they have a Wednesday game against LA Galaxy on the 14th, and then away to Atlanta United. And then if the Union beat Indy 11, they would have a US Open Cup game either on Tuesday, May 20th, or the Wednesday, the 21st, and then into Miami. And then the last two games of May, both away on a Wednesday against Toronto, and then a Saturday game against FC Dallas. But regardless, busy May schedule. We've talked about this in the past, Jose, and we do know the Union's official opponent in Indy 11. And I'm sure we'll probably talk about this when it gets closer, but just real quick, if you were Bradley Carnell, what would you decide to do? I mean, I would imagine fringe players, and then somebody like maybe a CJ only. Neil Pierre, I think, has a real shot at getting a starting spot against Indy 11 on the match on the 7th.
I actually think, and maybe I'm in a different thinking here. How nice would it be for Ernst Tanner and Bradley Carnell to get a trophy this year? It's obviously nice to get a trophy any year, but a year after letting Jim Curtin go away and turning this roster over, dude, I would go all. There's no Leagues Cup. There's no CONCACAF Champions Cup. It's 60.
You win
What's the
Open
mission?
Cup, you get in the Champions Cup. So,
Well, Todd, what's the figure? 68% of the teams make the playoffs.
62 or 63. Yeah.
Okay, so making the playoffs should not be that difficult. Obviously, Union did not make the playoffs last year, but if I was Cardell and Urs, I'm like, dude, we gotta just win the U.S. Open Cup. Put all the eggs on that basket. I mean, they're already coming in to the round of 32 against the USL team. That's pretty good. I actually have their game against Charleston on my to watch list for this week, sort of to kind of get myself acclimated with that team. But what also helps quite a bit is, and I know it wasn't part of your chart, but the Union played DC United this week, a not so great team. They play Montreal right before the May 7th game, another not so great team. I think that, I don't know, man. Maybe you give up that Montreal game, sort of like play whoever you want type of thing with minute restrictions, and then go all out against Indy. But of course, that will not happen. Thinking exactly what you suggested will happen, where Cavan finally gets his 45 minutes or something like that.
Start.
Yeah, well, maybe Andrew Rick gets a start. I wonder if this is where Neil Pierre comes in with the Macania, right? Like maybe a Union 2 type of center back, and maybe this is where Mbaiso slots in. It's actually interesting to see that this competition might be the perfect way for them to acclimate some of those guys. Though I would argue that it's already into the deep end when you think about win go on, lose go home type of thing. So it's tough, but they got to play at some point.
Mark has a question here. Says one thing I hated was watching the Open Cup final on live stream. This was last time Union made the final. I wonder if it's televised today. Yeah, they are on CBS Sports on their app, I believe. Right. I don't know if this game in particular, but they've been showing a lot of U.S. Open Cup games on the app.
Yeah. So the initial 2 rounds were YouTube, which I love. It's so easy, selfishly, because I like clipping stuff and flipping around games or whatever. The first 2 rounds were on YouTube, and then CBS picked up the last round, and they showed every single game through their app. So I guess you need Paramount Plus, I think, to watch some of these games. I wonder if they pick up this round. I would think so, considering how involved they were with the draw and everything. So I guess there's just an announcement to be made. Though let me text somebody here to see if that will happen.
Yeah. Well, we got U.S. Open Cup covered, and I totally forgot to put that in the show notes. So, good job on me for remembering that. But let's go ahead and talk about another news topic. And I didn't even play my jingle because I didn't even expect us to talk about the U.S. Open Cup. But anyway, we'll skip that part for tonight. It is Quinn Sullivan announced, named to the MLS team in the match day for Matchday 9 for his performance. 1 goal, and we'll touch on Quinn's performance here in a little bit. I'm sure really, really good game for Quinn Sullivan. But just overall, Jose, second time this season, Quinn's been named to the MLS team in a match day spot. The first time he was named was on a bench spot in match day 2. Now this time he gets himself into the starting 11. Just your thoughts on, I guess, overall Quinn's season. And Charlie Boom had that article about Quinn, and look, he does the article. Quinn scores his first goal of the season. So maybe the Union are going to be requesting Charlie to write more about Union players, and they start scoring more goals.
For the record, Charlie writes about whoever the hell he wants, as I understand it. So he went after Quinn, or maybe there was a guidance. I'm not sure. But in talking with him this weekend, I just said, this Charlie Boehm effect is real. And he's like, it seems like it, because who was the guy from Minnesota who had that incredible story? The striker who went off last year.
I know you're talking
all
about.
all that to illustrate that Charlie wrote a story on this player, and next thing you know, he like went off into this crazy run. So yeah, the Charlie Boehm effect was certainly there this past weekend. But your question about Quinn's season overall, and I know, Todd, you and I talk a lot behind the scenes, and obviously communicating with Mike and Dave as well. But like, I don't know, I feel like Quinn's season has been a bit of a roller coaster, where like kind of like last year too, where he had that really hot start in CONCACAF, and then as MLS play came, he sort of dipped, and then he picked it back up, dipped, and then ultimately, I think he finished in a high note, earning himself that under 22 contract, under U22 contract. I feel like this year is sort of the same, where there were some games where he's just shining and playing incredible ball, and then you go and watch games like NYCFC, for example, where it wasn't the greatest bit of ball. But then fast forward a week later, where he just cleans the slate and has probably his best game of the season, or at least you would think so, considering being slotted into the match day. And frankly, he probably could have had more. But that's just getting greedy. But it wasn't the goal, it wasn't the assist that was most impressive for me. It's once again his work rate and how much and I think it's probably just the perfect fit, right? Like the perfect peg for the perfect hole. But like how well he fits in the Carnell system in terms of work rate and using his brain with the cues to press, and just overall being an athlete plus on that team. It's really fascinating to see, and it makes you wonder. And this is in talking with Charlie and reading interviews as well, but like how helpful maybe it's been that his younger brother is taking most of the attention away from him, and he can just ball. But you also have to wonder how much he would like to have that attention as well. So overall, just happy for Quinn. I will never call him Quinny, but very very happy for Quinn Sullivan.
Yeah, and Mike Barrera says he can be the best player on the field any given night, and Mike's spot on there. And that's frustrating with Quinn is, he's confident. He has the confidence in his abilities to take players on 1v1, but so many times, he'll lose the ball or sometimes he'll slow down the play, and it gets a little bit frustrating. But you know, at least he's trying the stuff. At least he's confident in taking the players on 1v1, and it does seem like every single game he's averaging 1 or 2 chances created, and so the Union definitely need players to create chances with Daniel Gazdag no longer with the club. It is nice to see Kai Wagner healthy with the Union. Again, was a menace for the Union down the left-hand side. And so, yeah, I mean, even just to bring some of that pressure off of Kai Wagner to have an actual attack down the right side too, where not everything's going down the left side of the field. Kai Wagner does bring that to the left like we know, but Quinn does it just as well, bringing it down the right-hand side of the field. Now let's go ahead, Jose, and switch topics to the Union's back line. And I think the starting lineup was a little bit surprising. And I saw fans a little bit confused why Tai Baribo wasn't starting this game. But for me, I think the biggest surprise was Bradley Carnell going with Frankie Westfield as the right back, Jacob Glesnes as the center back, Nathan Harriel pairing Glesnes as the second center back, and then Kai Wagner as the left back in this match. And Bradley Carnell had talked about it after the game, and it makes a lot of sense to me that the reason why he decided to go with Nathan Harriel as the second center back is to deal with the pace of Latte Lot. And that's exactly what Nathan Harriel did in this game. The Union keep their 4th clean sheet of the season. And there is something that I want to pull up here real quick, but I don't have it saved on my computer. I'll bring it up. But just your thoughts on the defensive performance by the Union, or I guess we'll start with the 4 defenders that Bradley Carnell went with to start this game.
Yeah, to me, I think managers can operate one of two ways. You either have your set back 4, and that's what you go with, no matter the matchup, or you do what Bradley Carnell seems to be comfortable enough doing, which is to sort of operate by switching pieces depending on the opponent. So it seems like he goes both ways in doing that. Probably more in leaning towards just adapting to the opponent, and it's hard, right? Because I do believe that this team is or can be a heck of a lot better when Nate's on the field. At least with last year's run of form that he was in, and even more so with the year prior, where he was unstoppable offensively in a way. This year, it seems like maybe he's still trying to get up to speed with his play, considering he took the entire preseason to get healthy. And the revelation that Frankie Westfield has been, and how good that battle has been for a position on the starting 11. That when you pair up Frankie and Nate, yeah, I saw the comment that and Nate together, like it's a very physical and fast, 2 players. It's just there has to be. It makes you question the depth chart, right? In terms of like, really, there's nobody better that could do that. So Nate can play in his optimal spot, but it's hard to question Bradley Carnell's decision when they go on and beat what should be a very good on paper Atlanta United team 3-0, even with a man down.
Yeah, and this is what I wanted to bring up here. This is courtesy of Who Scored. It's the touch chart for Emmanuel Latte Lot. He was limited to just 30 touches, and you can see it there on the screen. Look at where he was touching the ball. Only 7 touches inside the penalty area where you want your striker touching the ball. I mean, the Union forced him in so many bad positions, and only 2 shots in this game, neither one of them on target. He had one that was just completely off target. He did well to get himself in position, but did not get close to putting that on net. And that's a credit to this defense for keeping him quiet. And a big part of that, too, is the 2 midfielders and Danley Jean Jacques and Jovan Lukic just continuing to do a fantastic job protecting that back line. But like Bradley Carnell said after the game, we wanted to go with Nathan Harriel to stick with Latte Lot with his pace. And I didn't notice him at all. I didn't notice Latte Lot at all. And looking at this heat map, this touch map, yeah, it seems like the Union center backs, the midfielders did their job, making him not hurt them by being in dangerous areas, by being in that 18-yard box. Miguel Almiron, we started the show talking about how they spent 10 million, I believe it was, for Almiron, 22 million for Latte Lot. $32 million on two players is insane. Almiron, 61 touches. He was deep away from the 18-yard box when he was taking those touches as well. 1 out of 4 shots on target, 0 chances created. And then you eventually have Oluwatu Makanya coming on because Jovan Lukic gets the second yellow card, and the Union continue to lock things down. And so you're right, Jose. Bradley Carnell, spot on with his tactics. We'll talk about that, I'm sure, a little bit later here on the show. But overall, really, really impressive performance from the whole defense, the two sixes in Danley Jean Jacques and Jovan Lukic. But there is no arguing with Bradley Carnell's tactics on the night. He got it spot on, and credit to him and his staff for knowing how to prepare for Atlanta, how to shut them down, and take away their playmakers.
Yeah, it reminded me a lot of the first half of the battle or the bout against Pachuca, right, where they came into town and Nate Harriel completely with the help, obviously, of I think Glesnes or was it Elliott? I forget who paired up with Nate on the night, but those two taking out a monster in Solomon Rondon. So like it's something that tends to work when you put Nate there to deal with pace, and then you also have the brute nature of Glesnes to help out on the physicality. But anybody who argues with the tactics this week, it's maybe a little unwarranted, right? Like again, 3-0, and it was a lot of what we expected from Carnell in terms of the way that he plays, because he told us as much, right? Advancing the ball very quickly to the front, check. Winning the ball in very dangerous spots against the opponent, check. Advancing the ball very quickly to our strikers to then pass it on to the next wave of attack, check. And you can see that obviously with Danley's goal and the way that that Damiani held that ball perfectly to pass it back to Uhre to then lay it off for Danley Jean Jacques to go ahead and score. So this was like a perfect. You could always, and Todd, maybe this is a question for you. Like we need to do this, but like I want to take the press conference where he was introduced and talked about how he plans to play, and overlay the audio on top of like the 3 different goals that they scored this weekend, because it's just that, right? Putting players in positions of advantage or positions where they're likely to have a good outcome. For all the XG nerds, I think our good friend Ali was here. He's an XG nerd, I believe. It was just like a perfect display of what Carnell ball is, and if this is what it yields, I don't know who's really going to complain.
Absolutely. And just sticking with defense, maybe something that gets overlooked in this game is, yes, the Union scored 3 goals, and we saw at the beginning of the season that they have a potent attack. They can score for fun if they want, and we've seen that in years past with this Union team. And I know it's a little bit different than the Julian Kranza, Daniel Gazdag, and Mikael Uhre, and it is kind of crazy to think about. With those 3 players, one remains, and if I had a bet, I would have said Daniel Gazdag would be the last player to remain, but it's Mikael Uhre, and he was involved in this game very heavily. 4 chances. We'll talk about his performance after Andre Blake. I think this goes very under the radar in this game. His 3rd clean sheet of the season, and the Union and his 100th career clean sheet with Union in all competitions. And he has a huge save on Alexei Marinchuk in the 77th minute. But I had asked Bradley Carnell after the game because everybody wants to talk about goals. Goals are fun, and that's what gets the storylines. And I wanted to pay, respect to Andre Blake and how well that he performed, and wanted Bradley Carnell just to mention how important getting a clean sheet is when you score 3 goals in a match.
And it's massive because you're never going to be able to shut out a team like Atlanta, right? The chances that, they created, and I think when it's 11s v 11s, I think we nullified and mitigated exactly what we were trying to do, and the game plan really worked in the way according to how it unfolded. When they go a man up, they're going to start creating an overload here and there, and then you need people to make big plays, and I think blocking crosses from Lennon, stopping supply, of which we couldn't do the whole night, and then it's duels in the box and winning your header, and if you don't, then you need a goalkeeper. So you need a lot of things and a lot of commitment to fall into place for you to keep that clean sheet, and everyone dug real deep tonight.
Yep, and you had mentioned it there, Jose, saying Quinn Sullivan, for you, the most impressive thing, and I agree, is his work rate, the work off the ball. And the third goal that the Union scored, Kai Wagner overhits the cross. Quinn Sullivan keeps the ball in play, earns his assist on the night. Perfect cross into Tai Baribo. And there's a comment here by Chris, and I'll play it for the audience here in a little bit. But that save by Andre Blake, he makes two easy saves in the first half on Ormeron's long distance shot, and then a nothing header from Sleesh. Still got to make the saves, fully aware of that. But it's that save against Alexei Marinchuk where if Atlanta score that, it's 2-1 with 13 minutes of play plus stoppage time. He does just enough to find that little space, beats, I believe it was Makanya and Glesnes to the ball, and Andre Blake comes out with that strong left-hand save. And again, that's a credit to him being in the right position. The work that Phil Whedon does with these goalkeepers, having them ready week in, week out, and Kai Wagner being in the right spot to clear it away after Andre Blake makes a strong save. But a really, really solid performance for Andre Blake, and what a great game to get his 100th career clean sheet for the Union.
Yeah, and it's hard to believe that it's only just now that he's getting his 100th clean sheet, considering how good he has been over the years with Andre, right? Like the 22 year, obviously, early on, I guess the road was a little rocky with some of those rosters, and maybe just not up to par to be able to get the as many clean sheets as he would have won it. But this is what we talk about every single time, Todd, especially when Andre gets injured, or we catch wind that there might be an injury, or we see his name on a report of being questionable or whatever. This is the perfect example of Andre Blake earning this team at the very least 1 point, right? Or like throughout the season, 12 to 15 points, completely just attributed to Andre Blake. Because I am fairly convinced that had Atlanta scored that goal 2-1, I don't know how well the Union respond to that. I like to think that they would respond well, but the reality is that they were already a man down, if I recall, at that point. Yep. So to be able to hold it down against a very, again, on paper, this team should be very, very good, Atlanta. I don't know what I hate to say coaching is the issue. I don't know. I try to look at the post-game press conferences. They don't post them because my guess is that not so great things were shared after the match. But the reality is that I don't know that the Union, a man down, and that man being the guy who's sort of pulling the strings in a very good way when it comes to stepping up in front of the center backs, and Jovan Lukic being sent off were two very stupid yellows. Someone needs to talk to him, by the way. I don't know that the Union cling on to win it, let alone go ahead. So again, unbelievable job by Blake to be called upon on a dime and go ahead and do it the way he did. And I'll say it, but check my socials. I posted about it through the Voice Now Foundation. You can bid to win Andre Blake's jersey autographed, match worn from this past weekend where he got his 100th clean sheet. So it'd be a nice little piece of memorabilia, and all the funds, 100% of the funds would go to the Boys and Girls Club of Philadelphia. So if you want to support that, find that on my Twitter. I make zero money, nothing. I don't earn anything. I just want to raise as much money as possible for that cause.
Yeah, and I'll leave a link in the show description. I believe you have a few more days to get your bids in on that. Last time I checked, it was at $250. 5 days they have. So yeah, I'll leave a link in the show description. But Hoagie, this is a good comment because this is what I was going to ask Jose. Andre Blake, 34 years old, signed a new contract last season to keep him with the club through 2026 with an option for 2027. Last week's show, Jose, we got a lot of comments about how the Union should have addressed the goalkeeper position in the offseason. A lot of comments from people about how they're concerned about Andre Blake's health, and maybe the Union should be thinking about getting a number one goalkeeper or a new number one goalkeeper. And the comment from Chris, he says, Dre looked like he played as good as ever. What injuries? And he's spot on. One Andre Blake's, as well as he is, against Atlanta United, it makes you forget about those injuries. It makes you question, look, Andre Blake can play forever. But yes, the injuries are a little bit concerned. 34 years old, will be 35 in November, signed through 2026, club option for 2027. My question to you, Jose, is, it does feel hard to have this discussion about Andre Blake after he just kept the clean sheet and everything. But I mean, your thoughts when just where Andre Blake is at health wise, and it seems like he was fine, no issues this game. But the fact of the matter is 51% of the games missed last year for the Union. That's a lot of games, and we don't need to keep having this conversation where if Andre Blake was in net for a little bit more of those games, the Union probably make the playoffs. Gets hurt, doesn't play against New York City because of that adductor injury. And I talked about this on the Atlanta show. I wonder if it's a little bit mental for Andre Blake because he missed so many games last season, and any little nudge, any little nick that he feels, I wonder if that's in his head. And he's like, I'm not going to risk it. I'm not going to go ahead and play through this. Just, I can't go. I don't know if that's the case, but I got to imagine if I'm a player getting hurt as often as he did last season, it's probably in my head a little bit. Any little thing that you feel, I'm probably questioning it and I'm being extra cautious. And the good thing is, Union have Andrew Rick, who Liam says Pickle Rick is the future. Just your thoughts on Andre Blake overall, and maybe should the Union have looked at going out and getting a goalkeeper in the offseason like some fans said they should have?
It's let me just start by saying that when Andre is healthy, he does what he did this past weekend, which is Andre Blake things, whatever saying you want to say, continues to show when he's healthy to be one of the best keepers, if not the best keeper in the league right now. In terms of a replacement, I think that Phil Whedon, who is the goalkeeper coach at the Union for the first team, or I think overall oversees all of the goalkeeper operations, would want a seamless transition to the next person. And I think that would be Andrew Rick. I do understand, as I'm told, and I think, Todd, you and I sort of heard similar things behind the scenes from sources. They really tried to bring John McCarthy back last preseason, and it just didn't work. Yeah, last preseason, not the most recent one, with the previous one. So that could have been the number 3 keeper. Probably, honestly, skips over Rick, or it's a good battle per se. But it just wasn't meant to be, and that's where Oliver Semla came to be. So they attempted to do something. Oliver just did not, or has not panned out yet. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. He still has a contract as of right now. I don't know what it looks like in the next 2 days, to be completely honest with you. But they went that way. But I think Andrew Rick has shown a lot of potential. I mean, I watch as many MLS Next Pro games that I can with players that deal with the Union, obviously Union too. I remain amazed, and I still stand on this, that Andrew Rick has the best distribution in all of MLS Next Pro, and probably better than 50 or 60% of MLS goalkeepers when it comes to distributing the ball from the back. Are there areas that he can improve on? Obviously, absolutely. But I think that just comes with age. He's only 19, if I recall. So, he is unbelievably young when you think about the lifespan of a goalkeeper, to the point that I've even told you, Todd, I almost wish the Union would go ahead and loan Rick to a USL side, just so he can get to play regular ball against adults and not. Obviously, he's practicing with adults, but no one will tell you that practice and games are the same thing. No one with a serious soccer knowledge would. So I hope that there's a seamless transition. It's tough to see how, and do I wish they would solve goalkeeper 3 situation? Probably. I don't think it's a great look for the Union to be putting Oliver Semla, who is taking up an international roster spot, as well as a full-time MLS roster spot, playing MLS Next Pro. I just don't think that's really what they envisioned.
Yeah, I agree. And we've talked about Semla so many times on this podcast, so we don't need to go ahead and rehash old topics. But now transitioning to another maybe controversial decision that fans thought coming into this game was Bradley Carnell starting Mikael Uhre over Tai Baribo. Tai Baribo coming into the game was MLS's leading goal scorer with 6 goals. And Baribo had went a couple weeks, I believe it was 5 weeks, without scoring a goal. And that's the same with Damiani and Mikael Uhre. I wrote about this in my match recap. And that's a long time for your forwards not to get on the score sheet. And we saw in this game, we'll talk about the attack a little bit later, or players that aren't the forwards. that they got goals from other areas, and that's great. And that's what the Union are going to need by committee throughout the season. They can't always rely on the front three. It's great to see goals from other areas of the field. But Mikael Uhre going and starting over Tai Baribo. Uhre makes his second start of the year with Bruno Damiani. Mikael played 61 minutes, 1 out of 4 shots were in target. All shots were in the first half. He also hits the crossbar in the first half. He had 1 assist, as you talked about earlier on the show, Jose, the assist into Danley Jean Jacques. But you really can't question it because Union get all 3 points. They get a clean sheet. Uhre gets his assist. He's working hard. He got 4 chances. Probably should have scored 2 of them. But Bradley Carnell got that decision spot on, just like he did with the back line. And this is Bradley Carnell talking about Mikael's performance after the match.
The first, 45 minutes, we set the platform for the rest of the game, and he held up the play. He brought others into the game. He was a goal threat, 3 big actions in the first half. 1 hits the crossbar with his left foot. So 3 big actions, and he could have contributed with a goal as well. So, I'm really happy. And like I say, we have to believe in each other, whether we start, whether we don't start. And, it's my job to keep the harmony within the group, because obviously there's expectations to start and games and this and that. So, when we can, against talented teams, that I think you could see that's on display tonight. If you take time and space away and commit to each other, I think that's what the result can be like.
And that's exactly what Mikael Uhre did on the night with his pressing, with his hold-up play, making those runs in behind. We know this is what makes Mikael Uhre. And as a striker, your job is to score goals 100%. I agree. But he does so much of the little things well, which is why, okay, maybe $2 million is a little bit too much for him for not contributing as many goals as you would like. But he does so many of the little things well. And Mike had the comment here, said that this is what he loves about Bradley Carnell. Shows that your starting spot isn't guaranteed. Mikael did well and that opportunity given. And now Bradley Carnell has a decision going into this game against DC United. Does he roll with Mikael Uhre, who got an assist, had a chance to probably score 2 goals in this game? Bruno Damiani, I think, played well. You mentioned it, Jose, where it's that forward pass by Kai Wagner into Damiani. It's good hold-up play. Passes it to Uhre. Uhre finds Danley Jean Jacques to his left, making that run into the box. And now we're starting to see the combinations between these guys start to pan out. Tai Baribo comes off the bench, gets his goal, but regardless, you can't argue with Bradley Carnell's decision to go with Mikael Uhre because he did exactly, and it sounds like he did exactly what Bradley Carnell wanted him to do in this game.
Yeah, Uhre played very well. I think there were some, and I, whatever, poked or whatever, made fun of, but that one chance where Indiana went ahead and won the ball, battle, passed it back to Uhre, and Uhre just, it wasn't an open net, but it was a play that I would have expected a designated player striker to go on and finish. Was it the first half? I think it was. It was the first half.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first half that I could have sworn that, like, oh man, like, oh, what a bummer. But then he went on and played great. And like, I hate to move away from Uhre, but I couldn't listen to the press conference very well. I got a recording, and even the recording just wasn't great in terms of picking up the questions in the room. I think someone asked about being, and I don't need to know who, I think I have an idea who it was, but someone asked about Bruno Damiani and being concerned about him not scoring or whatever.
Yeah.
I think it just goes once again to show that, like, I don't know, these guys do especially in this system, strikers are expected to do a hell of a lot more than just tap the ball in, which obviously is their main job. But when they're excelling and doing so great at everything else, in terms of the pressure, in terms of the passing, following the cues, in terms of on the ball or off the ball for the Union, it's hard to be upset at them. And I think Mike's 100% spot on, and I'm part of it. I don't think I appreciate Uhre as much as I should, but it'll be really fascinating. One can argue that there's a world where, had he not triggered his option with his performances, he maybe wouldn't be here this year. For those that don't remember, his performances, or whatever the performance incentives were, automatically triggered his option for the 2025 year. Had that not happened, the Union would have a decision to make, much like Jack Elliott last year and Daniel Gazdag this year, where player going into a final or playing a final year, club option, do they really want to pick that up? I don't know that they maybe wanted to. Who knows? The season last year was the offense was not the issue, but rather the defense. And Uhre, I don't know. Did Uhre have a down year last year?
No, I think he had a good year in my opinion.
Okay.
With 9 goals and I want to say 7 or 8 assists. I'll look it up for you, but no, I think because of him having a pretty decent number in terms of goals and assists. And again, I don't know what that contract looks like, what he had to do to trigger that option, but I would imagine it probably had something to do with goals and assists and
Or minutes played.
or that's probably a big part of it too. And maybe it's a
Yeah.
combination of all of them. Trying to pull up on transfer market as it's
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, you're good. Mikael Uhre last year in all competitions. Man, it's going so slow. 9 appearances this year, we know. 1 goal, 1 assist. But last year in 41 appearances for the Union, had 13 goals, 5 assists, 10 goals in MLS, 5 assists in MLS in 30 appearances. He had 2 goals in Leagues Cup, 1 goal in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. So, yeah, I mean, 13 goals is decent numbers, I would say. Yeah, 41 appearances, maybe you would want a couple more, but still getting double-digit goals. And I think he's had double-digit goals in every single season that he's been here. I'll have to look and see what it was the previous season. But yeah, I mean, we know with Uhre that he gets himself in good positions, and once he gets hot, he scores goals in bunches. And I feel like that's the MO for this team in general. Yeah, in 2023, he scored 11 goals, so he was just over there. And then we know what he did in his first season with the Union. I believe it was scoring 16 goals in all competitions, or he scored 13 goals, I believe it was that season in MLS. But yeah, Mikael Uhre been. I agree with Mike. Probably an underappreciated player in this team, and it looks like the Phillies did something. Is that a home run? Looks like the Phillies are up to bat. Jose, give us a
top of the 9th, and I believe it's now 5-4 with only 1 out. Okay, and we have is that Trey Turner? Yeah, that's Trey Turner. And Alec Boehm of all people did something good. Yeah. Oh, okay. Stott. I just saw people high fiving Boehm, so I assumed that it was him. All right, no, let's continue. Sorry, I didn't. I just.
No, you're good.
I just saw somebody sprinting around the bases behind me, and I thought,
yeah,
right away. So yeah, no, Mikael Uhre, I do wonder what they do with him next year. I much to what, and it almost seems like, Todd, every single year the turnkey moment for some of these strikers is a DC United game that comes this weekend. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, and I would be fine. I don't know if Mikael Uhre would be happy with a TAM deal, but if the Union, I would imagine once the MLSPA salaries come out, I'd imagine here in the next couple of weeks, Uhre's not going to go lower than the $2 million he made last season. But I would imagine, if he would feel comfortable taking a TAM deal, I don't see why the Union wouldn't give that deal. He doesn't take an international roster slot, knows the system. Bradley Carnell seems to be happy with him, but get him off that DPE money, then maybe he has a future with this club. I don't know. We'll see what the future holds after the season. But going back to these comments, Michael says Tai needs service in the box, but Uhre and Damiani seem to play off of each other more effectively with hold-up play. 100%, I agree with that. Chris says, to me, his job is to manufacture goals, not just score. 100%. And then I see all the comments here with people talking about the Phillies hitting a 3-run hammer with Stott. Hey, at least somebody's baseball team doesn't disappoint them like the Orioles did all of Baltimore. Hey, the Phillies didn't lose and give up 24 runs. And I don't think that's going to happen at all this season. If you would have told me that the Orioles gave up 24 runs, I would imagine that it's because of Craig Kimbrell, but we all know he's not with the Orioles anymore. And 24, terrible for the Union. And people are saying, "Welp, almost." Did you guys blow it? I don't know, but you did. It's tied, or you guys gave up the lead.
No, they lost. They were climbing back. They were clawing back.
Okay. Wow.
It was 5-1 for the longest time, I think.
Wow. Okay. So 5-4 it ended. It's crazy. Well, again, you guys didn't give up 24 runs, and I thought about wearing an Orioles jersey tonight, but that probably won't happen for a little bit until they go on a massive winning streak. But getting back to soccer, Mikael Uhre, spot on decision by Bradley Carnell to decide to start him, and Bradley Carnell was also asked, okay, well, You got the reason. You talked about why you were happy with Mikael Uhre, what he provided your team. Then why no Tai Baribo? And this is kind of similar, and he's just going off of what he said about Mikael's performance.
The first half showed that, right? If you're leading the way you lead, and then you commit to the way we commit, and create the chances we did, the turnovers we did. I think it was the decision, and he gets his goal regardless. I said to Tai after the game, you got your goal, and that's important, right? It's a striker wants a goal, and we have 3 very good strikers and 2 positions usually to compete for the way we play. So, we wanted to be a little bit more intentional with our balls behind, with directions, more verticality to put them under. And I think the stats show that. We put them in a scrappy game. We gave them the ball there. The way they set up was to give us the ball. I think we gave it straight back to them. So and created turnover after turnover. So I'm happy with the way the game flow went, and I'm happy with the decision.
Yeah, and why shouldn't he be happy with
Right.
He scored 3 goals. Tai came off the bench, scored his 7th leading MLS goal. Yeah, all in all, it's a perfect night for the Union. But yeah, again, I mean, Bradley Carnell tells you exactly what they wanted, and somebody had made the comment and said that Damiani and Uhre seem like they have a better understanding playing with each other. And we've seen last year that the chemistry between Tai and Mikael was pretty spot on for the most part, but a big part of it was pressing and getting in behind. And I think that's what Mikael Uhre offers you that the other 2 strikers don't do. And at the end of the day, you can't argue with the decision when you get 3 points. Your striker coming off the bench, leading MLS, gets another goal. Perfect night for Bradley Carnell in this Philadelphia Union team.
Again, you can't argue with it. And I honestly thought that the Baribo benching was sort of maybe a time for him to reset, right? Like he was on a hot streak, maybe went a little cold. I hate to compare it to baseball, but maybe that's what some of these guys need from time to time, right? Just some time to slow down and get themselves back together to sort of pick up. And honestly, I think that his goal this weekend was probably the best goal he scored this run so far out of the 7. I think it's probably one of his best goals because that type of glancing header is special. The way he got in front of his defender and just sort of helped it across Brad Guzan, it was just spectacular. Also, can we talk for a second here and be real? As much as I enjoyed Quinn's goal, wrote about Quinn's goal, then had to merge it with the article. Did you think that goal was better than the other ones that are being nominated for goal of the week?
Yeah. I mean, it's a volley.
Okay.
I mean, the ball gets poorly cleared away by Atlanta. I can admit that. But the way that he chests that down and then he hits it, and he has traffic in front of him. So to not to hit any of the defenders, place that where Bradley Guzan can't do anything about it. I don't know if you can hit a ball any better than Quinn Sullivan did. I really don't.
Probably not. No, I just think about the other options. I'm like, most of them felt a little bit better, but the fact that it's even nominated, have we seen saves of the week? Because I feel like Andre Blake should be up there.
Yeah, it should be. Do they even do that anymore?
I thought they did. I should know what my part-time employer does, but I don't recall whether they do it or not.
I don't think I've ever seen fans given the opportunity to vote for save of the week. Maybe somebody in the comments can go ahead and correct me, but
yeah, Jillian nails it here. I thought the bicycle kick was pretty damn good. But whatever. I'm happy that Quinn's on there. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a window into the future to a Bangladeshi international player.
Dude, the comments, my God. If you guys listening to the podcast, and maybe we can get some of them listening to the podcast, maybe I'll change the thumbnail to Quinn Sullivan and just call this Quinn Sullivan takes over against Atlanta United or something, and bring in all the Bangladeshi fans. But my God, they are just everywhere on the Union social media posts saying, "Hey, come to Bangladesh, represent our country. You're a Bangladeshi brother." Like, they are all in on Quinn Sullivan. I saw some people too saying that the 2 younger brothers are Ronan and
Declan.
There's a report out there that they're close or could be close to joining the national team, and they want Kevin to join too. They want Quinn to join. They want the whole Sullivan family to join. So they are everywhere on the Union social media posts, and they're so happy to see Quinn score and be nominated as the Union's MVP for the match. And look, we know what the Messi fans do, just swaying those votes anytime Messi scores. Well, maybe they can do the same thing for Quinn Sullivan and sway it in his direction. And I don't know if he gets a bonus or whatever if he wins that award. Maybe not. But yeah, maybe Quinn could use some of their help, like Messi gets from the Messi fanboys. So the Union fans will definitely welcome all of his family roots. And hopefully, I don't think Quinn's going to go and represent that country. I mean, it's a long, long, long dream for those guys. I mean, for the longest time, we thought there would be a real possibility for Jack McGlynn, and now he's cap tied with the U.S., and we thought that he would represent Ireland, and didn't happen with the U.S., and I think Quinn Sullivan, for the time being, is making a very, very serious push for the Gold Cup with the U.S. and hopefully he can continue this form. I mean, I think we were actually having this conversation last year, Jose, about the Olympics, where if Quinn Sullivan, if he wasn't so inconsistent, he could have potentially been joining Nathan Harriel and Jack McGlynn at the Olympics, because at moments he looked great, other times not so much. And for most of the season, I would say Quinn's been pretty good. And if he continues to play like this, then I think Quinn has a real shot representing the U.S. at the Gold Cup. And who knows, if he plays well, can he get himself on the final World Cup roster? Maybe. But before we end the show, I do want to talk about the 3 goals. Quinn Sullivan, Danley Jean Jacques, Tai Baribo. You talked about the goal that Tai Baribo scored. Great hustle by Quinn Sullivan, keeping the play in. Bad cross by Kai Wagner. But, and I said this in my goals breakdown video, I'm not taking anything away from the Union. And you had asked, what is wrong with this Atlanta United team, Jose? And my opinion is they don't have any characters on the team that care. Maybe just Brad Guzan, but there were so many players on that field that just simply didn't care. And I broke it down on the 3rd goal. This 3rd goal specifically, you had Schleich, poor ball given away. As soon as he gives the ball away, his shoulders go down. He's jogging back to try to catch up to Quinn Sullivan. Brooks Lennon, he was pushed up on the right-hand side trying to receive that pass. He gives up on the play, should have tracked the run of Kai Wagner. And then you have the cross by Kai Wagner into Quinn Sullivan. Amador, the left back for Atlanta, doesn't chase after the ball. I guess he's assuming it's going out of play. And yeah, allows Quinn Sullivan to pick up the ball and cross it into the box. And yeah, just really poor. Abraham, the defender that was nearest to Tai Baribo on the header, ball watching. And it's just a simple move to get inside of him by Baribo. And then it's a beautiful header past Guzan. There's enough players on this team where you would say they should have characters, but in my opinion, they showed that they didn't care. It was like as soon as Andre Blake makes that save against Marinchuk, they just stop caring. And that's really, really, really poor. All 3 goals, I think, were avoidable for Atlanta United on the night. It's 6 times, at least 6 times, they had the chance to clear it away on Quinn's goal. It's poorly cleared away. The 2nd goal, it's just a bad giveaway by Brooks Lennon. I don't know why he tries to dribble by the whole team. Kai Wagner wins the ball back. And then it's 4 players giving up on the 3rd goal. And yeah, if you're an Atlanta United fan, I can see why you're annoyed with this team. When, yeah, you have a performance like you had on Saturday night. I don't think the Union played outstanding by any means, but the Union took advantage of the mistakes by Atlanta United, and they punish them. And that's what good teams do. You win the games that you're supposed to win, and the Union come away with all 3 points. But I do got to say, Danley Jean Jacques' goal, fantastic. Megging Brad Guzan. And this is a guy who does all the dirty work. And remind me, Jose, what position did you play in high school? I played as a defensive midfielder.
I played as a 10.
Okay, so I mean, you probably weren't scoring a ton of goals either. You're probably creating more, I would imagine. I don't know how your team lined up, but playing as a defensive midfielder in high school, we're asked to do all the dirty work. Win the balls back, quickly transition, play forward. And then when you see a number 6 get on the goal sheet, it's like, yes, finally, they're going to get the recognition that they deserve. And it's a beautiful goal by Danley Jean Jacques. But this is a guy who I feel like has been a little bit underappreciated, trying to replace Jose Martinez. And it's hard to replace Jose Martinez. I get it 100%. But finally, he gets his goal for the Union. And Megan Brad Guzan for that goal. Fantastic finish by Danley. But yeah, you love to see number 6s score goals. And now between Jovan and Danley, the Union have 3 goals between the 2 6s.
Yeah, there's no denying that. If you look at any measure, right, of the different metrics that they use, like they're excelling on both ends. I think specifically, especially per 90, that it honestly brought joy. Like I was grinning a little bit ear to ear to finally see Danley get that goal, and I actually had to double check because when I typed at first his first ever Union goal, I'm thinking to myself, has he really not scored yet? Like, just found himself in a random position because obviously, when he was out in Azerbaijan for that random friendly, he scored, and he has scored a couple of goals against Concacaf opponents for Haiti. But like, sort of an awe that this was his first goal for the Union, and what a good one to have scored. I'm just, again, I was just so thrilled for him.
Yeah, spot on. And yeah, all three goals really good by the Union. Take advantage of what Atlanta United didn't do, and just poorly giving the ball away. And as Bradley Carnell talked about, like we talked about, the Union want to go ahead and transition, and just that's how they're going to continue to play. I had accidentally had teased this. My 3 stars on the night for the Union: Quinn Sullivan, 1 goal, 1 assist; Danley Jean Jacques, and then Nathan Harriel. Yeah, I mean, overall, I mean, you can pick so many players out on this lineup that had really good games against Atlanta, and hopefully this is things to come. I think Indiana Vasilov could have a shout too. I mean, his engine, you talked about Quinn Sullivan. Indy's in the starting lineup because of his pressing. And that's exactly why Bradley Carnell wanted him with this team. Maybe he's not going to show up all the time with goals or assists, but that pressing, that endless work rate is going to continue to be in the starting lineup for the Union. But anyway, Jose, you had asked me to play something. I don't know what this is, so I'm a little bit worried what this is. Oh, it's you, I think, maybe. Jose. Wow, they did not
They did not do me justice
they did
with the
not do
spelling
you.
of name.
Oh my gosh. Hopefully the quality is good. I'm gonna go ahead and change this. But as I get this video up, Jose, I mean your 3 stars on the night. Who were your 3 best players for the Union?
I think Quinn, without a shadow of the doubt. I mean, I built the entire article or piece that I wrote for MLS around him, and even as you spoke tonight, like, I like to think that Mauricio Pochettino is paying attention to this performance and maybe his form so far this year. I would probably go also with Andre as a number 2 because he was just when called upon did everything right, especially with a player down. Uh, and then I probably would go Danley. He just did all of Danley's in those roles, Todd, and you played it as you said. But like when you don't notice him, things are going right. But when you notice him, it's typically when things are not going well. Danley did a lot right, and he went unnoticed throughout most of the match, but then obviously got his moment to shine with his goal and that awesome celebration. I wish we knew, and if you're a fan who sits on that end and you have a video of him blowing the kiss at the fans, I want to see that video because that what an awesome celebration. Even the pictures that we receive as media post game were beautiful. So I'm guessing someone has a gem of a video with the celebration.
Well, speaking of a gem of a video, Jose decided to show me his goal for Fleetwood. Look at that hit, Jose, on the top of the 18-yard box. The celebration, high fives, and it's a pretty clean hit. Ball comes
That's
out
better. I
first
like to think
pitch.
that's that's
Fantastic
that's
hit.
better than Quinn's.
Better than Quinn's. Jose Nuñez should have been up for goal of the week. If this isn't showing that well on YouTube, to you guys, I'll leave a link to this as well in the show description.
Don't
But
you don't have to. Oh my goodness.
what a hit, man! What a hit. What wound up being the score of that game? Do you remember?
God, I think we ended up winning. Was that it was either so in Pennsylvania, I don't know how they do it in Maryland, but we play our regular season, then we play our counties, and the whatever winner I think automatically qualifies for states or something like. Yeah, you automatically qualify for states if you win your counties, but everybody who has an over 500 record makes it to districts. I think that was the very first round of districts where I think we had only lost one game out of the 20 something that we played against a team out of Pittsburgh of all places. Um, And so that was the first round, I think, against a team that was just like literally 500 on the season, and probably had no business going up against like a first number one seed. And I think we ended up winning like 4 or 5-0. My mom made this really sweet scrapbook with all of our high school career, whatever. So I'll have to look back, but that was one of my favorite goals. I thoroughly enjoy that one. If when you shoot it and it feels right, you sort of know like that's going in. That's exactly what that one felt like.
Yeah, that's a great hit. I wish I could say that I've hit a soccer ball as well as that, but yeah, playing a defensive position, yeah, you don't get many opportunities to score. Only one goal in my high school career. I did actually meg the goalkeeper as well. Yeah, I was pissed. We were losing that game against a school called Tomb. They were a private school, and we shouldn't have been down in that game 1-0. Trash team, and so I leave my position, probably piss off my coach. I mean, should be back in the back line. Just take the ball, keep running, couple give and goes, then make the goalie tie the game at 1-1. Unfortunately, that goal's not on the on YouTube, but something is probably my favorite moment that I played in high school was, so we do it completely different here in Maryland, where everybody makes the playoffs. So you start with your districts and then you just keep progressing and everything. When I played, we were never a 500 team, always below 500. And the soccer program had been pretty bad the last few years. My high school coach, maybe he's listening, had taken over, and his mindset was, we're gonna run. The bench is trash, and the starting 11, you guys are gonna play all 80 minutes, and you guys are gonna be fit, and that's what we're gonna focus on, is just running. So very thankful that I played pretty much every single game my senior year, and my junior year I played a lot. Sophomore year, not so much. But yeah, my coach that I had my senior year of high school took over the program after we would get blown out my freshman year, 12-13-0. New coach comes in. Instead of us getting blown out, we're maybe losing games 3-4-0. Still bad, I know, but at least it's not 12-13-0. Then my junior year, we start actually scoring goals. And then my senior year, we start winning games, and I actually score a goal. And then we go into playoffs, and we won our first playoff game in over a decade. So that was a really cool moment to be a part of, and I'll never forget it. We went into penalties in that game, and my coach had asked the 5 people who wanted to take penalties. He told me, yeah, I'm going to select you to take a penalty. I said, absolutely not. I don't have the confidence to take a penalty. My neighbor up the street, Otis, I said, yeah, he's great in penalties. He's got a powerful shot. So he volunteers, takes a penalty, and it gets saved. I was like, oh my God. Like, you were choosing to take a penalty initially. I said, nah, you go ahead and take it, and you get your penalty saved. And then the coach told me after the game, well, if it would have went into a 6th round, you were next up. And Jesus Christ, I don't want to hear that. but yeah, it was cool. It was cool playing high school soccer. And yeah, I mean, like you, I'm sure it's memories you look upon, and you don't realize how fast it all happens and everything until that moment's gone. So just a whole team bonding experience, and having some of your best friends, and just watching what other people go out and do as they graduate high school. It's like, man, a lot of positive memories thinking about high school soccer back in the day.
Yeah, and even adult soccer, man. Like, I get such a thrill out of it. I'm definitely not the person who shows up on Sunday or whatever on Wednesdays, fully knowing that I got to work at 9 a.m. and even before that, wake up at 6 with kids. I'm not going out there to just relive the glory days, but it's something you miss, right? And that's where, God, I was so bummed when there was no media game last year. I had really looked forward to
Yeah.
that, just to play around, right? And yeah, I almost feel like there should be the media game should be a tryout to see whether or not you should be covering the game, the team or not. But it's just kind of, it's just something fun that I look forward to do one day. But let's wrap this up. Hour 8. Thank you for listening to the Free Kick Pod, Maryland's #1 soccer podcast, Philadelphia Union podcast. I'm losing the cadence here. I forget what you say.
No, you're good. I appreciate you wrapping it up, because yeah, I could have spent all day talking about high school soccer. So I appreciate you, Jose, sending that video clip and reliving a fantastic goal that you scored. But if you guys aren't following the podcast on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook, follow at Free Kick Pod, wherever you get your podcast of The Free Kick. Check out the YouTube channel live every single podcast, youtube.com/Free Kick Pod. Check out the goals breakdown video, and that is up now from Philadelphia Union, Atlanta United. I see there's some comments on it, so I'll get to the comments here after the show. Appreciate you guys checking out that video. And if you guys want to check out my writing, podcast, and goals breakdown videos all in one place, check out thefreekick.substack.com. Jose, where can people follow you? And check out that Quinn Sullivan article you had out.
You can find me at Jose R. Nuñez 91 on most social medias. And my, I guess, weekly write-up, it feels like, though I didn't have one for New York City FC, which was actually kind of convenient considering we needed to figure out how the hell to get home. On MLS Soccer. Yeah, MLSsoccer.com. This coming weekend, I think I have the 7:30 window. No, 4:30 window. That's when the Union play this weekend, right? It's that one and only the 4:30 game, and getting asked to help out a little bit more here and there, actually. So I think they're enjoying my work, and I appreciate all of you for reading it when you get a chance. It's nothing crazy. It's nothing super impactful, but something that means a lot to me. So appreciate you all.
Yeah, and I appreciate you joining the podcast, Jose, and thank you guys for checking out the podcast and all your comments on the show. As I always say, you guys are the best part of the show. We appreciate it. We're trying to get to 500 followers on YouTube. We are at 318. I think we can get it by the end of the season, but continue to share the podcast and let people know this is your most hated Philadelphia Union podcast. But until then, my name is Todd.
Todd, before we forget, everybody keep an eye out. Fewer than 2 days until the transfer window closes. Don't know if Philadelphia is doing anything, but maybe other teams around Philadelphia are doing something. So something to keep an eye out on the 23rd.
So with that said, my name is Todd, and this is the Free Kick Podcast.